It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am your host, Kevin McIntosh. Going straight into our leading story for today, as West Bloomfield came together to celebrate diversity, inclusion, and unity at the annual United We Walk event. I actually took a look inside this inspiring gathering to learn more about its significance and the impact that it has on our local community.
Well, it's really a great place for everyone to get together, celebrate Dr. King's legacy, and the service projects are giving back to others. So it's meaningful to everyone, I think, in that respect. It really teaches our young people that they're part of the community and that they have to give back to others.
Even after over 3 decades of the annual tradition, the United We Walk Committee and West Bloomfield community has found a way to prioritize Dr. King's message and legacy.
It's so interesting when I think back, and I think it was around 1996 when we got started, and to believe that this community has not let go of that priority and that dream from then, and finds a way to make sure that it's still a rich part of the West Bloomfield community.
With an event that's so community-driven, it was important for us to inquire with the local resident and patron to find out why they chose to attend the event and what United We Walk means to them.
So first of all, Dr. King was a brother of our fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. We believe in his dream. There are steps that you have to take that are continuous, and we continue to push forward towards that dream. We want to show the young people of the community that there are people that will mentor you. I mean, we have some things set up where we are doing some reading to the students and just making an impact on the community. That's what it's all about, day by day, slow strides to make that dream a reality.
I'm here with a group of community moms. We're here to celebrate our children and learn a little bit more about Dr. King's legacy. It's like a call to action for the community. Together we walk, we move forward, we progress. It's really important, I think, in these days that people are staying connected and understanding who lives around them, how they can support each other.
With many local organizations partnering with United We Walk, a group of West Bloomfield High School students felt it was not only important to be there, but also told us why it's important for the younger generation to share Dr. King's message.
I think it's important because he really shares a great message and they can spread it to their peers, spread kindness, spread equality, and I think it's just a really great message.
If you've never attended or you are considering attending for the first time, here is something you should know about the West Bloomfield annual event observing Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
I think they should realize that this is really, I think, the dream of Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and to realize that it's an opportunity to interact, to unite, to engage in activities, because there are wonderful and rich conversations that go on that sometimes there might not be a place in their community to engage with others who are like-minded and maybe who are not like-minded, but it's a safe place to have those wonderful, rich conversations about the dream and the possibilities of our own rich communities.
Such an incredible event that actually truly highlights the strength of our Greater West Bloomfield community. We want to thank United We Walk and the committee for putting on such a very successful event this year. As part of United We Walk, West Bloomfield attendees came together not just to celebrate unity, but also give back to those in need. Tables were set up for donations, including food, cleaning supplies, and plastic bags, which was all aimed at supporting local charitable organizations. I got a chance to experience more of the spirit of giving that added a special touch to this year's event.
Excited to be here. You know, we work all year to this end, and to see it all come together is so exciting. And to have all the kids, all the adults, we're all doing it because Dr. King taught us how important service is to the community.
And we appreciate you for this, Sue. So we have a very interesting setup behind us. Essentially, this is another portion of United We Walk. This is the charitable portion. Just talk about what we're looking at behind us, please.
All right, so we had really kind of 4 initiatives this year. One is Fueling Kids' Futures. Part of what they give to students who are food insecure throughout the district is food for the weekend. So we are providing 2 of the products that they run out of all the time, chicken ramen noodles and oatmeal packets. The second table has cleaning products to benefit 2 different entities. One is there are 20 homeless shelters that are distributed through CCRT, which is an organization in Pontiac that helps 20 different homeless shelters. Okay. And on that side, we are flattening used grocery bags, and they will go to City Covenant Church in the Brightmoor community in Detroit because they give away 140 hot meals a day. And behind us, we have kind of a craft project, a giving project of medallion making. So the kids are making 2 medallions each, one for themselves of things that represent Dr. King to them, and one to give to a loved one, a friend, anybody that they want to share Dr. King with.
Perfect. So I love that we have this portion of the event going on right now, Sue. Just talk about how you feel like this charitable portion aligns with Dr. King's legacy.
To me, the civil rights movement continues to be a critical part of what our communities are about, what our country is about.
We wouldn't be doing right if we didn't at least mention the organizations that you have here helping you out involved. Just speak to the organizations and how the collaboration helps.
I was so blessed. Usually we have to kind of beat the bushes and try to find volunteers. They are ready-made. This year, the Alphas are a fraternity of men and young men who are helping out today, as well as Caring Smiles, which is a dental office in West Bloomfield. Talk about a blessing and sharing. This is perfect. So we probably collected 500 bags easily. We have to flatten all of those out, getting them ready for City Covenant, and they're going strong. They're going to do it.
Such an incredible effort by the West Bloomfield community to make a tangible difference while also promoting unity. And we want to do a special thank you also to Sue Welcome and all of the volunteers that made this charitable initiative very possible during United We Walk 2025. Thank you again. The Greater West Bloomfield community is continuously taking action to keep Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream moving forward. So joining me live in the studio for a special segment to give us a little bit more information on how our community is keeping that dream moving forward, we have Tyler Keefe joining us in studio. What's going on, Tyler?
Glad to be here with you, Kevin, and was really glad to be with you live out at the United We Walk event over the weekend, celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And people in Greater West Bloomfield are taking action to continue bringing his dream moving forward. And that's people of all different ages, including students in the West Bloomfield School District. We know that many of those students at West Bloomfield High School are co-chairs of this event, helped to plan it. But one student took action in teaching the people of Greater West Bloomfield some lessons on how they can move Dr. King's dream of kindness, unity, and community service going forward. And here's some of what Brandon Young, a high school student in West Bloomfield, had to say.
Those bridges, they're not easy to build. They take courage. They take the power to listen, even when it's uncomfortable. They take reaching out, even when it feels like the distance is too far. But every plank we lay, every hand we extend, every act of kindness brings us closer to that dream. But let's be honest, the work isn't done. There are still walls dividing us, walls of fear, walls of hate, of us versus them. But we can break those walls because we have the power to knock down those walls of fear and hate. And in their place, we can build something stronger, something that'll connect us.
And these kids, when they take this action moving forward at a young age, it tends to move into later portions of their life as well. They become better community members as adults. And a great example of that was the keynote speaker, Dr. Roy Bishop from Grosse Pointe Public School System, who spoke at this event about taking decisive action to unify people together from your own leadership, starting with yourself to inspire that kindness, that community action that Dr. King had be paramount to his dream. He also spoke about that and how we can take action every day to make our community kinder and greater in Dr. King's vision.
Building bridges of unity is not just our theme for today, it's a call to action. Unity starts with you. Sometimes we focus so much on leading other people or just saying the words of we want to make the world a better place, but the truth is, it starts within us. If we focus on living a life, a purpose connected to our why, and the vision of building a better society, we will naturally inspire more people around us to follow suit. Growing up, I heard it often. Worrying about yourself is a full-time job. And I agree. If you stay dialed in to striving 1% better and becoming 1% better every day, the people around you will follow your example. Dr. King embodied that principle while he walked on this earth for 39 years. He didn't just have a dream of making the world a better place, he worked tirelessly to create it. His vision was bold, and his belief in unity as the foundation of progress was unwavering.
Unity being the foundation and leadership being that key element that takes that unity from an idea to action in communities like Greater West Bloomfield, as Dr. Bishop spoke about. And perhaps no better two examples of that than Jennifer Graham and Hertha Woodruff, longtime members of the United We Walk Committee and current and former co-chairs at many points in past years themselves, who were recognized at this year's event by adult co-chairs Sonia James and Jonathan Warshay for their decades of experience helping to lead this event and keep Dr. King's dream alive in Greater West Bloomfield.
I just want to acknowledge this woman's work because behind everything that goes into United We Walk, she made it look easy. She did it with such grace, such style, and such dedication. And I have to tell you, there are days I woke up and I'm like, what in the world did I get myself into? However, it's a labor of love. And we just want to say, again, thank you for having the vision, the dream, the dedication, the commitment to see this through. Because, again, it is not easy. And for us to be as successful, we appreciate your dedication and your commitment to this.
And now it is your turn to get involved and take that action like Dr. Bishop had said, like Jennifer Graham and Hertha Woodruff, who are great examples of that, have done over the years, and like those students who got involved as co-chairs, Brandon Young and Kennedy Williams, and so many others who performed, who spoke, who participated in this event. The MLK 365 initiative through United We Walk has service projects all throughout the year. You can learn even more about ways to get involved and keep the dream and the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. alive in Greater West Bloomfield in the coming months. Kevin.
Thank you again for that story and that information, Tyler. Continues to highlight how the residents of the Greater West Bloomfield community is doing and putting in the effort to extend Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s message and legacy. Thank you again. West Bloomfield School District will be closed both today, Tuesday, January 21st, and Wednesday, January 22nd, for extreme cold temperatures. All after-school activities, by the way, will be canceled. That is today, Tuesday, January 21st, and Wednesday, January 22nd as well. A decision on after-school activities for Wednesday, I should say, will be made and announced that day by 11 a.m. So as we get that information, we will keep you updated as well and continue to monitor the cold and the ice. Keep yourself updated by going to their Facebook yourself at West Bloomfield Schools on Facebook. Since we are experiencing extreme cold right here in Greater West Bloomfield, it's only right that we take care of our home and our personal possessions, such as our vehicles, which we need to move around and get place to place. So join us right here live on The Splash to give us tips and best practices to take care of our automobiles in this extreme cold weather. We have the owner of the Midas Auto Repair from West Bloomfield, Alex Holt, joining us. Thank you for being here, Alex.
Hey, of course. Thank you so much, Kevin.
I think you are in a very unique position and occupation, specifically in automotive and automotive repair in our community, because a lot of us, for the most part, we can experience car issues during the winter time. So from what you've seen, let's get straight into it. What are some of the most common car issues that you see during the winter months in West Bloomfield?
So unfortunately, it's going to be really batteries. Extreme temperatures, hot and cold, will kill a battery. You got tires, right? It's getting icy. People that you lose air in your tires when the temperature drops. So we're getting a lot of customers with tire issues, and then issues with no heat. Right, this is the first time that people are using their heat, and they're realizing that there's a problem with it, whether it's blowing hot or cold, whether it's blowing cold, or whether maybe it's not blowing air at all. So those are really the main three.
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned that. So I want to kind of step into those. Just a side quest real quick. Battery, tires, and heat. What are some signs that we can kind of see that our battery may be losing its power and may not be up to par for the winter season?
So the real way is batteries really only last between 4 to 6 years. So if you're in that window, you should be extra vigilant. Go to your repair shop, have them test your battery, and that's kind of the only way. Right. For that 4 to 6 year window. Also, when you go to a repair shop, sometimes you get a lot of information. It's hard to understand, hard to remember. Mm-hmm. But what's really common is that we'll see a battery, and batteries, they leak battery acid. They sometimes look like a coral reef. I don't know if you've ever gone into your storage room at home and you whipped out an old Duracell battery and it's got a coral reef growing on it. If you've ever been told that your battery has that, then you really want to get it cleaned off, because that battery acid, it corrodes the battery, kills the battery prematurely. It's not able to get a good connection. So you want to make sure that you're maintaining your battery well by making sure that those terminals are cleaned off.
Yes, please. I'm so glad you said it. I literally just recently had to replace my battery, so I can 100%. I can 100% relate to that. Yeah, it's important. My neighbors and a few people, so I completely understand. Real quick, tires also. I want to speak on it. Is there a certain amount of tread or something? What should we be looking for to make sure our tires are winter ready?
So tires are measured in 30 seconds of an inch. Most vehicles, like passenger vehicles, like your RAV4, your Camry, your Ford Escape, when they're new, you're at about 30 seconds of an inch. And when you want to replace your tires, when they get down to about 3 or 4, you can use the penny test, right, to check. But really around 3 or 4 is when you want to get your tires replaced. Mm-hmm. That's how you'll know. Proper tire maintenance is that you rotate your tires every 5,000 miles, which is really for most people twice a year. Okay. And so if you're doing that, your mechanic should be telling you, hey, your tires are at 7:30 seconds or 8:30 seconds or 4:30 seconds, so you know when to change your tires.
Thank you. Okay. And just for clarification also, when you mean rotate the tires, I want you to kind of explain that. You mean like take the tires and just switch out their location where they actually are?
Yeah, yep. Basically, the fronts go to the back go to the front.
Yep, thank you. I just want to break it down in the simplest terms. Join me right here, live on The Splash from Midas Auto Repair in West Bloomfield. We have owner Alex Holt talking about preparing our cars for the winterizing, and different things that we can do to be proactive with our vehicles. Now, we spoke on batteries, spoke on tires. Let's just get to the heat. very briefly.
Yeah.
Because like you mentioned before, you really don't necessarily know whether or not your heat is working until the winter time. You can even maybe put it on during the summer and you can have the illusion that it's working, but maybe it's the outside heat. So just tell us some things that we can do to maybe even check to make sure our heat is working before the winter. What are some common reasons why heat wouldn't work in your vehicle in West Bloomfield, please?
Yeah, so the most common issue is really the heat's blowing, or you turn your heat on, you're getting air, but it's not warm. That's really, or it's coming out and it's just not powerful. It's not as warm as it should be. That's really nine times out of 10, that's related to the coolant, which is a fluid in your vehicle. Most vehicles have 5 major fluids, right? You got engine oil, power steering, transmission, and gasoline. Coolant is one of the major ones. And even though the name says cool in it, coolant is what's actually converted to turn into heat in your vehicle. All the science behind your engine, the coolant is really the blood of your heat. And so what we find is customers either are low on coolant, because it leaked out or it evaporated, or they have an issue with that system where it's leaking coolant. Coolant is, what happens is coolant over time will accumulate contaminants. It's just like, if you left a cup of coffee on your front counter, you're not going to probably drink that after 3 days because it might have some stuff in it.
Good point.
Same thing happens to your coolant. Over time, lots of contaminants get into it, and those contaminants, well, your engine's really hot, right?
Right.
And those contaminants burn up and evaporate, and then that fluid just gradually, naturally decreases. So it's something that you want to make sure you do a radiator flush or a coolant service. You do that routinely. Every car is different, but the hard and fast rule is about 50,000 miles, 5 years, and get some fresh coolant in there, and that'll make sure that your heat's running nice.
Oh, first of all, thank you, Alex, for that very valuable information. I'm kind of experiencing the same thing right now with the heat thing, so I'll have to make sure I check my coolant. And just for clarification also, antifreeze and coolant, are they the same thing?
They are. Yep.
Just want to paint that picture also. Thank you so much. Hey, Alex, we appreciate everything that you brought to the table, all of your valuable information. Any additional tips, practices, or notes that you want to give to our audience that we didn't discuss today about winterizing our vehicles?
Yeah, so on the topic of coolant, a lot of customers top off their coolant. And you just want to make sure that when you go to the gas station to buy it, or you go to the Advanced Auto Parts or wherever, you want to make sure that it's, because they sell it in concentrate, or they sell it in 50-50 where it's already been diluted with water. And you want to make sure that whatever you're putting in has been 50-50 diluted with water. Because if you put the straight concentrate stuff in there, it's not going to work. So just make sure you're doing that. Call me anytime. I'm happy to give that advice over the phone. I can look up the specification on your car, tell you what type of coolant you need so you get the right one.
Nice.
No, otherwise, yeah, I'm happy to be a resource and really appreciate being on the show.
And we appreciate you too, Alex. Thank you again for serving our West Bloomfield community, our drivers alike, and making sure that we are all safe. Once again, from Midas Auto Repair in West Bloomfield, owner Alex Ho. Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day.
I will have a great day, especially with that information that we just received from Alex Ho, owner of Midas Auto Repair at West Bloomfield. Great information to keep in mind while you are traveling. Coming up, we will be discussing great practices and tips when it comes to filing those income taxes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is income tax filing season. So what's the best thing for your situation so that you can get the best out of your income taxes? We'll discuss that with a professional coming up right now. We are live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Find local municipal meetings at our program schedule on CivicCenterTV.com. Find when your meetings air live or when they're replaying on our Civic Center TV live stream. Find it all at CivicCenterTV.com and click Schedule at the top of the screen.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
I'm Gina Gregory, president of the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. I'm excited that Civic Center TV has reached 1 million views on YouTube. Congratulations. That's just terrific. We appreciate everything Civic Center does for the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society and the community. For us, they promote and highlight our events. It's awesome to have them available 24/7 on YouTube. I'm Gina Gregory and proud to be one in a million.
What people are watching in Sylvan Lake, Civic Center TV, and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you so much for being here. I am your host, Kevin McIntosh. Now, it is income tax filing season. In case you've been living under a rock, the commercials are showing on our televisions, our radio, and things of that nature. So it's important for us to take the necessary steps to make sure we are properly filing our income taxes. Now, I've done a little bit of research, but that's why I'm being joined right now by an actual professional who can break things down. And with us right here live on The Splash, we have CPA from West Bloomfield, Certified Public Accountant, Leslie Jones. Thank you for being here, Leslie.
No problem. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you for asking first and foremost. Now, like I mentioned, I have a little bit of research, some notes here, but I don't even want to give out misinformation, which is why I have you here. I want to start off by talking about the differences. Now, there's mistakes that people make, and then there's trends and challenges that people face when filing their taxes. Let's start with the challenges and trends. Are there any unique challenges or trends that you've observed in tax preparation, specifically from residents of West Bloomfield?
I have. So there's a lot of high earners in West Bloomfield, specifically our W-2 wages. And those people with children, a lot of times we depend on the tax credit. And for the last couple years, specifically this year and last year, there's an income phase out. And so that tax liability, you're not getting that $2,000 credit. That's one of the things that I've noticed, specifically for those people who have the high earners on W-2 wages. Also, some of the things that I've noticed with people who own real estate, not taking advantage of all of the different credits and deductions out there for the real estate, for their real estate investment properties. And then lastly, one of the things I noticed was, the people who work from home, right? So there's a lot of people that are working from home in West Bloomfield. A lot of times they have jobs in different states. I've noticed that sometimes they don't withhold tax in that state, but they're earning income. So you just have to be careful and make sure you're working with a tax professional who can help you navigate, making sure they're paying the right amount of taxes for those specific states.
Ooh, Leslie, I'm gonna be honest, that sounds like some muddy water that you can get into a lot of trouble with if you are not filing your taxes correctly. So let's go into the second part of that, which are the mistakes. What are some of the most common tax filing mistakes that you see amongst some of your clients, and how can they avoid them?
Sometimes, people want to use their last W-2 to file their taxes. That's a big mistake. Not proactively tax planning throughout the year, and then having a huge tax liability during tax season. And then not coordinating. So if you are, say, separated or divorced, not coordinating with your other half on who's going to claim the dependent.
Good point. Good point. That is a conversation that should be had in regards to receiving or even benefiting from that child tax credit, like you mentioned before earlier. So thank you for pointing some of those things out for our listeners and our audience in general, because like we said, we are in tax filing or tax preparation season. Join us right here live on The Splash. CPA from West Bloomfield, Leslie Jones, talking about tax preparation and filing in the 2025 tax season. Now, property taxes. How do you see West Bloomfield property taxes impacting residents' financial planning, and are there any exemptions that they should be aware of?
So there is an exemption. It is called the principal resident exemption that a lot of people don't know about, but it has to be your primary residence. The property taxes in West Bloomfield, they're a little higher because obviously the properties are a bit higher in the state of Michigan. But this particular exemption, you would have to actually fill out an affidavit and submit it to the state.
Okay. Thank you for giving us that information. If you are a homeowner in the state of Michigan, specifically Greater West Bloomfield, please take advantage of tax credits like that. It'll definitely save a little bit more money in your pocket towards the end of the year. I want to ask you also, we mentioned W-2 tax filings a lot, which is just individual employees earning from their employers. What about business? Do you involve yourself in business taxes also?
Absolutely. So being proactive with business, number one, record keeping is key. So making sure we're maximizing the qualified business income deduction that's based on your business income, maximizing all of the deductions and credits, being proactive with planning, making sure. So for the past couple years, we had a bonus depreciation that is in a phase out period. I believe in 24 it was 40%, and then in 25 it's going to be 20%, but that's huge. So if you're thinking about buying major assets that you would normally just use a smaller depreciation, that 40% of depreciation of costs, that's a huge tax deduction. Some of the other items to consider for small businesses would be business structure, just making sure with, your tax professional or CPA that you're in the correct business structure, so you're getting the most benefit based on your certain individual business activity.
Perfect. Thank you for those tips, those best practices for small business owners right here in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Even if you are working from home, those are some great tips for you to keep in mind. But I also want to ask, keeping it on that scale, are there any common mistakes that you see from business owners when it comes to filing their taxes?
Just not having accurate record keeping, not paying those quarterly estimated taxes. You have to do check-ins throughout the year, because if your income is high, you need to be sending in, if you're self-employed. And then also ignoring like the Uber drivers and DoorDash, that is considered self-employment income. And most people don't pay taxes, but it's still income. So you have to send in estimated tax payments based upon income.
Good point.
That's a huge common mistake that I've seen.
Oh my goodness! Wow, great point right there. I know a few friends who have drove DoorDash or Uber Eats or Uber or Lyft, and I don't ask whether or not they file those taxes, but that is something that people should keep in mind, because they don't take taxes out when you are driving DoorDash or Uber Eats. So it's literally your responsibility as an independent contractor to make sure you do file those taxes at the end of the year, and we appreciate that information. Once again, joining us live on The Splash, Certified Public Accountant, CPA from West Bloomfield, Leslie Jones, talking about tax filing preparation and best tips and practices as well. There have been a few different changes and updates when it comes to federal and state tax laws. Are there any recent changes from the federal state tax laws that might affect our Greater West Bloomfield residents?
So from a federal perspective, you have the standard deduction that's increased, but that's favorable. So that's a good thing. One of the the major things that I've saw that I know would specifically affect West Bloomfield residents is to keep in mind of the estate and gift tax. There is a $12 million exemption. It's a lifetime exemption. 2025 is the last year that you can take advantage of that. And then it's going to drop significantly to about $5 million starting in 2026. So I would say that would more so affect for this particular year to consider in your tax planning when you're looking at 2025 taxes for next year.
Seems like 2025 seems to be a very impactful year when it comes to taxes, tax filing, and preparation. And we appreciate you for giving out that information. Don't want to hold you up too much longer, but just lastly, any additional information, advice, practices, tips, or even strategies you would recommend for some of the high-income earners in West Bloomfield, or even just earners in general?
Tax planning. Tax planning is key. Do not wait until tax season to start looking at your taxes. Tax professional, work with a financial advisor or a wealth advisor. Build a team, and that way you can protect your assets and your income from paying high taxes.
Listen, I literally couldn't have said it any better. With you being the expert and the professional is so much value to what you say. Once again, we want to thank you for all the information that you gave to us here today on our platform. And CPA, Certified Public Accountant from West Bloomfield, Leslie Jones, we want to thank you again for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. That's exactly what we do here, right here on Civic Center TV, the Splash Live. Give out those best practices and tips that help benefit you and your life and your family generally. Since we are experiencing extremely cold temperatures in the Greater West Bloomfield area, you can't ignore, we all should be aware of hypothermia, something that is definitely at risk during these freezing cold temperatures. So how can we manage hypothermia in this freezing cold temperature? That's why I'm being joined right now live from the West Bloomfield Fire Department, Fire Captain Hans Drews. Thank you for being here, Captain.
Hey, Kevin, my pleasure. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you also, sir. So we're here in the middle of winter during some on and off extremely cold temperatures. So I'm happy to have you here. I just want to start off by asking, how prepared do you think West Bloomfield residents are for dealing with hypothermia and frostbite emergencies during this winter season?
Yeah, overall, I think that our residents are well prepared. I think that probably those who don't grow up in Michigan and in this area, it's a little bit more of a struggle. But for the most part, most of us as Michiganders are well prepared and kind of have a decent idea of what to do. However, this is a great opportunity for me to answer any questions you have. And if there's anything I can do to help our residents out, it's been my pleasure.
Great segue, Captain. Great segue. With that being said, let's get straight into it, because I've been driving around looking at some of our beautiful lakes, but I see some tents set up on those lakes. Lake is completely frozen. I might even see someone ice skating every now and then. So I want to talk about, are there any common issues or situations that your team encounters when it comes to hypothermia or frostbite calls?
Yeah. So, speaking of the lakes, obviously West Bloomfield, lots of water within the township. And we have residents who are using the lakes year round, and it's a great opportunity. However, in the colder seasons, obviously we got to be careful on going on the ice, right? So the standard safety is that you check the thickness of the ice before you go on it. 4 inches thick is generally accepted as 4 inches or thicker as what's safe to be on the ice.
Okay.
And so here in West Bloomfield, we do deal with cold water drownings and people falling through the ice. And that is something that we do deal with. But your question you asked about as far as what is more common. And so although that is something that we do deal with, I would say that as far as a common issue, my biggest concern is the elderly patients or elderly people. I'm not sure exactly what, as you're getting older, and maybe, you think that you're still a spring chicken, and you can be out there, doing what you did when you were younger. And So maybe take that in consideration, right? And then certainly check on your neighbors, check on your family, make sure that they are aware of how cold it is and they're not going out in the cold. That would be my recommendation.
First and foremost, great information, great response to that. First and foremost, like, you really don't realize how cold it is until you go outside. Even if you look at the temperature, you say it says 7 degrees. What does 7 degrees feel like? You don't know until you go outside, especially go outside unprepared. So that's one thing. Moving on to our next question, I want to bring up the fact that at a very young age, I learned that when you are outside freezing, your hands, your limbs are cold, the first thing you should not do is put your hands and feet in hot water. I did that. It was the worst pain I probably ever felt in my entire life. I want you to walk us through the steps your department takes when responding to some of these hypothermia or frostbite related emergencies.
Yeah, good question. So slow warming, right? Obviously, what we're doing in our efforts, so it's a little different than what everybody at home is doing. But, one thing we're doing is every day, our men and women are making sure that all of our apparatus are ready to go, that we have all the equipment that we need, and that we're ready at a moment's notice to respond and deal with whatever the situation is. In particular, responding to a hypothermia call, we're going to make sure that our patient compartment of our rescue, that we've got our heat on high, turned up, fan on high, and just trying to create a space where we can bring a patient into where we're already going to start the warming process by just bringing them into a warmer environment. So those are some of the things that we're doing in preparation for that. We have heat packs so that we can warm people up using a heat pack, or to warm up the IV fluid should we have to, depending on how severe the case is.
Oh my goodness. As we were talking and I even brought that up, I just thought back to that time when I was like 10 years old outside playing and went to my great grandmother's house, so cold, and she gave me a bucket of hot water to put my feet in. It was the worst thing ever. So thank you for explaining that.
Warm water is appropriate, right? So warm water is okay for someone at home to use, but yeah, definitely you want to slowly warm the temperature back up.
There you go. Oh, yeah, there you go. Slow progressing with that also. With us right here live on the Splash from the West Bloomfield Fire Department, Fire Captain Hans Drews, talking about hypothermia and frostbite management in the middle of these freezing winter temperatures. Don't want to hold you up too much longer. Just want to ask you a few other questions, if you don't mind. Let's say we're in a situation where one person amongst a group of people is experiencing frostbite or hypothermia, and they called emergency responders to come, but for the time being, until that 5 or 10 minutes that they're there, what should some of the bystanders do to help that person experiencing that emergency?
Yeah, great question. So you can try and shield them from the wind if you are outdoors. If you're able to get them indoors, ideally that would be what you want to do, is try and get them into a warm environment. If they're wet, you're going to want to remove any wet items or wet layers of clothing. But beyond that, it's really just a matter of trying to warm them up to the best of your ability. Stay away from the hot water. You don't want to, like we talked about already, you just want to you put some blankets on them and just do your best to try and protect them from the elements and warm them up.
Yep, good point. And it would seem like common sense, but it just makes so much more sense when you explain it the way that you do, Captain. Hey, we appreciate your time. One last question. I just want to bring this up because we're talking to a member of the fire department. You would usually associate that with, we only respond to hot situations, but we're here to let people know that our fire department goes beyond that. So beyond emergencies, specifically just beyond emergencies in general, how does our fire department contribute to overall winter safety in West Bloomfield?
Yeah, so we community risk reduction. That's a mindset that we have, that we're just always vigilant all of our members are looking for things that might potentially be an issue, right? So in the winter, that could just be an unsafe road condition. Do we have the ability to put salt down or take care of that? No, we don't. However, we do have that communication line open with the county and our other responding agencies, whether that's the police department or the road commission, to try and make things safer for our residents. So that is something that we're just always mindful of, is just keeping our eyes open, keeping our heads on a swivel, and just trying to draw from our experience of what we've experienced through our career and our time on the job, and just kind of like, oh, all right, well, I see something that could potentially be a problem for somebody, for one of our residents. So let's do what we can do to try and mitigate that problem, because prevention is the best thing that we can do.
Hey, I couldn't thank you enough for you and everyone at the West Bloomfield Fire Department for every single thing that you do. And I say that on behalf of myself and everyone here at Civic Center TV. Once again, thank you again, sir. Fire Captain from the West Bloomfield Fire Department, Hans Drews. Thank you for your time, sir.
My pleasure, Kevin. Nice talking with you.
Love it, love it, love it. Once again, something that we all may experience or directly or indirectly when it comes to hypothermia and frostbite right here in West Bloomfield during the area. Best tips and practices we'll continuously keep you updated with. With health and well-being becoming more of a priority more than ever before, Henry Ford Health is opening the doors of their brand new behavioral health hospital located right here in West Bloomfield today, featuring several incredible resources with a large focus on behavioral health. Recently, our very own Jake Schaff had the chance to take a look inside this very new building and to speak with some of Henry Ford Health's top officials to hear about what they hope this new building will bring to the people of Greater West Bloomfield.
With an ever-growing population and with wellness more of an importance than ever, West Bloomfield is thrilled to be welcoming a brand new behavioral health hospital courtesy of Henry Ford Health. The building is located right on Henry Ford West Bloomfield's campus and features several accommodations for therapy, fitness, and everything else a patient needs to get better. I had the chance to speak with some of Henry Ford Hospital's top officials to hear their thoughts on the brand new building and what it's going to bring to the community of West Bloomfield.
So this is, as we say, a state-of-the-art facility for all things mental health care in an acute care setting. This helps us double up our operating capacity to help care the needs of the patients in our community who are presenting in different settings for acute behavioral health issues. Over about 2 years ago is when we started hashing out specific plans related to a location and a particular setup that we wanted to build here on this campus itself. So yes, a long time coming, but at the same time, it brings in a lot of excitement for our community and for our partners.
It's designed for 184 beds to treat acute inpatient psychiatric patients. We have 8 different patient care units, 6 courtyards, a beautiful gym, and dining areas, and just a lot of lovely technology, safety, and the most amazing team that's ready and prepared to provide care in this facility.
What makes this behavioral health building different from some of the others around the West Bloomfield area?
Absolutely. So this building gives us the opportunity to provide that compassionate care to our patients who are coming in a state of crisis. This helps us build those collaborative care teams to help facilitate patient care, to help them get started on the path to recovery, and then also to ensure that this is the kind of environment where anybody who works in mental health care feels like they can be proud of the setting that they're working for.
Well, I think a lot around the space and the design for safety and for therapy, making sure that we have great areas for privacy, great areas for clinical collaboration, easy access to all of our other locations and hospitals and facilities within Henry Ford, too, to be just really centralized to be able to provide this type of care. I've seen so much collaboration and so much partnership, and I think being able to focus on also imagining ourselves in a new space. I think for me as a leader at that facility, a leader at this facility, getting the opportunity to watch my team members dream, to watch our other collaborative partners dream, to watch just everybody who's engaged in it dream about the care that we're going to be able to provide here, how we're going to be able to expand services and expand. That for me as a leader has been really the most inspiring part, to watch, to see just everyone start to come together and think about all that we're going to be able to do here.
Henry Ford prides itself in terms of compassionate care, right care for the patients at the right place and the right time. And this is one step closer towards that goal. We all believe in highest quality of care for our patients. Patient safety is number one and the most important thing that we all drive home to. So I think community can look forward to a world-class health facility right in their mix.
This hospital is set to bring many incredible things to the people of West Bloomfield as the mission to improve health in any way, shape, or form continues, one patient at a time. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff.
Thank you so much for that story and information, Jake. And once again, that building is located at the Henry Ford Health Hospital of West Bloomfield's campus between 14 Mile and Maple Road, just west of Drake. We want to thank them for even considering the Greater West Bloomfield area to be home of one of the newest behavioral health hospitals in the state of Michigan. Coming up, we will do a recap on the 31st annual United We Walk event, which just happened on Sunday, January 19th. Give a little bit of insight into what made that event so successful and what makes it so special to our Greater West Bloomfield community. We are live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. What people are watching in Orchard Lake, Civic Center TV, and 89.3 Lakes FM.
1 in 4 Michigan homes has high levels of radon, a naturally occurring radioactive gas known to cause lung cancer. It doesn't matter where you live or what type of home you have. You won't even know it's there unless you test. So don't wait. Testing is cheap and easy. And if there's a problem, it's simple to fix. Visit michigan.gov/radon to learn more.
We took action. Will you?
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable. The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know. When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. On Sunday, January 19th, hosted at the West Bloomfield Middle School, United We Walk marked its 31st annual event, bringing together over 300 students, staff, and community members for a great cause. And with us right here live on The Splash to give us a general recap of that event, we have United We Walk co-chair Sonia James joining us on The Splash Live. Thank you for being here, Sonia. We appreciate you for being here. I think we're having slight technical difficulties with your audio right now. There we go. Now we can hear you.
Okay.
Hey, we appreciate you for being here, Sonia. I just want to briefly go through this event real quick with the little time that we do have. I want to start off with you being one of the main organizers of this event. Give us a brief overall reaction to the event itself in general.
You know, my heart was full. It was full with gratitude. It was filled with excitement. It was filled with joy to see the number of families that came out to support United We Walk this year. Even though we were not able to walk outside, and we were still able to host a phenomenal community event. And for that, I am forever grateful to our West Bloomfield community, both our students, our staff, and our families in the community, but most importantly, my co-chairs and our student co-chairs for United We Walk.
Such a very impactful event. This is just coming from my perspective. The first one that I attended, that room was packed full of people. I'm talking about seats filled, standing room all the way around. One moment you look around, you're just like, wow, this is such a great turnout. But I want to get to the key message of that, right? Our keynote speaker, Dr. Roy Bishop. From your angle, how does Dr. Roy Bishop's message resonate with this year's theme to inspire attendees?
You know, he came with the message of giving us to lead, learn, and be kind, right? And with those three things in terms of building bridges and connecting us to the future, it really just encapsulates what we have to do each and every day. And it's an individual charge to each and every one of us in terms of how do we lead? We must continue to learn, and also being kind to each other, no matter where we are from, our background, our religious belief, that we're all in this world to coexist together. And that message just rang, and it was very simple: lead, learn, and be kind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just very simple, you know, standards that we should live by each and every day.
When I walked around during that event, I noticed there were a lot of different moving parts. We had a bunch of different organizations. We had donation tables. We had activity tables. I mean, literally so much going on. But one area of that event I want to focus on briefly is some of the activities for the kids and the students and things of that nature. How do you feel like student activities and children activities, like the button or the medallion contest that was going on, how do you feel like that contributes to the overall mission event? And how does that build bridges for the younger generation to connect with the message of Dr. Martin Luther King?
That's a great question. I want to say a shout out to our student co-chairs who helped really plan and organize the room events for our students to engage in. And that's one of the big things in terms of the push is not just for the community, but it's also for our students, and to get our students to learn more, just not learn more about Dr. King, just more for them to go deeper instead, and not just the surface piece of Dr. King, but really understanding his message, his cause, and why he fought the causes that he fought for, and for them in terms of how do they as students begin to live a legacy of peace, a legacy of justice, and a legacy of humankind. So in each of the rooms, there were 4 different rooms that students could actually go into.
Mm-hmm.
There was a reading room that was sponsored by the Men of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. There was a room to create a timeline for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and that was his life and his legacy, to go a little deeper. There was also a friendship making room where the students could make messages of friendship and bracelets for other students. And then the medallions, that was the peace medallions. That was something that was sponsored by the West Bloomfield Public Library, where they could make those peace medallions and spread the message of peace, not only within their families, but within their communities. So they had an opportunity to continue to make those medallions and give them out, not just to keep for themselves,
right,
but to give them out to community members as well.
Right, and that was something that I learned while I was there too, and it just goes to speak to the great effort of giving back to those and helping, like we said, building that bridge of the younger generation to the message of Martin Luther King, which was over 60 years ago at this point. So I think that's extremely, extremely important. Don't want to hold you up too much longer. We appreciate all the effort and the work that it took to build that event and have it going on. I do want to ask, what are the long-term aspirations for United We Walk after we just experienced the 31st annual? And then how can residents of West Bloomfield get more involved in the future events?
We do have a website, which is United We Walk, WBSD.org. They could go there and sign up to become a member of the United We Walk committee. Our long-term goals is to continue to grow. And have more community involvement. As you said, there were so many community members there in terms of our outreach. We had the Diversity Task Force represented. We had the Road Club represented. We had Great Smiles dental office there represented. We had WB Has Heart, which is a student-led initiative. They were there representing some of the things that we're doing at WBSD, the high school. But we also, I just want to give a plug to YSA, which is Youth Service Organization. We received a $5,000 grant to help with United We Walk this year. So we want to just continue, grow in terms of community participation and let it not just be that day. Just looking at all of the different activities that go into building West Bloomfield as a community and looking at what we have, our relationship with our diversity task force as well, and just continue to grow as a community. Because one thing we do know about West Bloomfield is we are diverse. And one thing we do know about West Bloomfield is we know how to come together as a community. So as we continue to build bridges, not only with United We Walk, but with other organizations in West Bloomfield, we welcome everyone's participation.
I gotta be honest, Sonia, as someone who's an outsider to West Bloomfield, as I went to that events like that in general that I'm a part of help make me feel like I'm home. It makes me feel like everybody, it almost makes me feel like I know everyone here. This is where I'm supposed to be. So that environment, that hospitality, that energy that you all created, it speaks volumes. So thank you. Thank you again for everything that you and your entire committee did.
Thank you, and thank you for having us, and thank you for being there. We are CCTV as well.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and thank you again to United We Walk co-chair Sonia James for being here and her efforts during United We Walk. We appreciate you. So once again, we will continuously keep you updated with all different events and things going on in Greater West Bloomfield. That is our job here at Civic Center TV. I've been your host, Kevin McIntosh, and per usual, we are live, we are local, we are social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.